All right. Hey, everyone. Happy 8 p.m. It's happy day after Christmas if you celebrate. And yeah, so today's conversation we are going to talk about is how do we resume positive habits after the holidays? I know we're still kind of in the holiday season, but I guess it's never too early to start kind of discussing because sometimes it's a hard transition to get over that. I want to call it like the holiday slump or just being lazy. I know yesterday was Christmas, and I pretty much spent the whole entire day yesterday eating a lot and sleeping a lot. Like that was the whole entire day. Literally, these past 4 days for me, as I mentioned before I went off on a break, I said that I would not be streaming for the next three to 4 days, and yeah, so it was really nice to just kind of be free and eat a lot of food and have some cheat days. So yes, I would love to have some conversation today of like, I know it's a little bit serious of conversation, and some of you are still on vacation mode, and let's still, it's still holidays, but how do we start transitioning back into that flow? How do we start transitioning back into, I guess you can say, living a healthier lifestyle? I don't know what you did during your break, but for myself, again, it was I very, very clearly set the intention that for 4 days, I thought actually I set it for 3 days. It ended up being four because I didn't realize I would be spending Christmas with some my brother's girlfriend's family on Christmas. So yeah, so 4 straight days of literally all I did every day was just eat a ton, and honestly, it's weird because it feels good. It feels amazing to eat all this good food, but at the same time, it feels kind of crappy too, right? It's like, oh man, I shouldn't have eaten so much. And so today, for me, is here in Los Angeles is December 26th, which means it is for me. It's like it's time to get back into the flow of things. Whoever is spamming thumbs up and smiley faces, thank you very much. All right, so let's see here. Where do I want to start here? So, for me, I'm very fortunate of how my work schedule is structured because again, I work for myself, so I get to create my own schedule. For those of you who don't know, most of you do. I have a goal to book 30 speaking gigs by June 8th, 2016. Sorry, wow, 2016. By June 8th, 2018. So that's what about 6 months? Not even. That's 5 months. Oh goodness, that's like a little over 5 months. So that's not a lot of time for me to book 30 speaking gigs. Again, I've never ever done this before. I've never gotten anywhere close to booking 30 paid speaking gigs. So this is a huge stretch for me. And what I do know is my speaking gig focus is in the youth market. So that's middle schools, high schools, and leadership conferences as well. And what I do also know is that everyone is on break right now, meaning nobody's hiring in this moment. So I'm taking this time to kind of just relax also. But also in the next 2 weeks, from today, December 26th, all the way till January 8th, which is when it's back to school, I'm going to be planning. Like for me, it's crunch time. I got 2 weeks to just uh, plan my attack. Like how do I reach out to schools? How do I, give them value and build these relationships? Because I'm not here to just sell and just speak. I'm here to create a difference in students' lives at the same time. So that's a little bit of a nice little focus because I know once January 8th hits, it's going to be like hit the ground running, hustle, hustle, hustle. So these next 2 weeks is more like a relaxed hustle. It's like a lot of planning. It's a lot of behind the scenes work and stuff like that. Emmanuel says, "Hey, dude, Emmanuel, good to see you on, brother. One inspiring brother. Thanks, man. I appreciate that a lot. Let's see. Did I see some comments? Let's see. Oh, Tangerine Love. Um, 2 syllables. I can't remember. It's like a Japanese name of some sort. Sorry, I can't remember your name. Remind me, please. Let's go back to 2016, shall we? Nice. Alrighty, so let's stay on this topic. The topic for today is how do we resume positive habits after the holidays? So again, a lot of us are, we're chilling. Oh, Yumi. Ah, thank you. Thank you, Yumi. So a lot of us are kind of relaxing. We're enjoying time with family, or maybe not doing much at all. Everyone's holidays is a little bit different. But typically, what we like to do is we like to kind of just chill, right? Like it's the holidays. So how do we get back into that swing of things? What I can tell you right now is this morning, December 26th, was my first day, quote unquote, like back. So today was a work day for me. And, my break is over in a way, in a good way. I'm actually really excited to go back into this workflow. One thing about yesterday was I went to sleep really late last night. Well, somewhat late, 2 a.m. Because I got back home at like 11:30 midnight, something like that. And so I knew when I woke up this morning that it'd be hard to kind of get out of bed and start my day normally. So, funny thing is, I woke up, I got out of bed. I can't remember exactly what time I woke up, but I'm gonna say I'm pretty sure I woke up at 5:30 because I had a call in the morning. So, right after the call, which was awesome, I was really sleepy. And for those of you who remember or maybe not remember, I got challenged. So this is my workstation. This is where I work, and my bed is right there. So I got challenged that instead of staring at my bed and having all these nicely folded sheets, ready to just invite me back to go to sleep, I got challenged to put away my blankets. And as a symbol, or similar to putting away my blankets, what I actually do is I fold my blankets, so and then I put my blankets at the head of the headrest. And what that does to me is it symbolizes that no, Richard, you don't get to sleep until you finish your work. Or at least you don't get to sleep until you finish your one biggest task of the day. So to me, that's motivation to keep pushing through. But look, we get tired, right? So I have this chair right here. Like I took a nap in this chair, which I allow myself to do. Because like if I'm tired, if I sleep on my bed, I could sleep there for hours. But if I sleep in this chair, I could sleep there for probably a few hours, but it's not as comfortable. It's not as easy to fall asleep for hours upon hours. So I took it, as much sleep nap as I needed to get my energy back up, and from there, I got back into my flow slowly by slowly. So I'm gonna kick it back to you right now. So if you are kind of like on this topic of like, oh my goodness, oh we got to transition back into whatever school or work mode. How do we do that? Give yourself some time to adjust. If work or school starts, like let's say you start January 8th or January 2nd or whatever it is. Give yourself some time to kind of transition back into it, because sometimes it takes a little bit of that, that time. Yeah, but another thing I would say is I notice for myself, this is one thing I do a lot, which is if I'm not being productive, like I have this very high expectation of myself to be productive every single day. And if I don't meet my expectation to be productive, I feel really bad about myself. And as this wonderful woman named Christine reminded me, she said, if you're not as productive as you want to be, don't beat yourself up. Don't be so hard on yourself. And that's not an excuse to not do work, but rather I believe that's more of a reminder to just stop beating ourselves up, stop being so overly critical about ourselves, and in a negative sense. It's okay to push ourselves and be a better person, but don't beat ourselves up and put ourselves down where we just feel crappy all day. I think as human beings, it's really important to keep up that positive energy, to I guess celebrate the wins, and not just focus on the negative and be so overly critical where we just don't enjoy life. So that's one thing that I'm kind of picking up along my journey of life. Let's see. I see some comments here. Let's see. Vontroy, good to see you on, brother. Let's see. Ever since the semester ended, I've been sleeping in late, except for today because I had to prepare to go to the DMV. Awesome. Let's see. Yeah, holiday season is a great opportunity to kind of just relax and chill and sleep in a little bit and give ourselves that break, because sometimes we need it. It's, um, you know, going into this holiday break, I started thinking about my other entrepreneur friends, and I have a lot of those friends who are, those massive hustlers, those people who continue to grind, and like they don't believe in holidays. They're like, a holiday is just another day to work, and that internal battle, that struggle inside of me is like, okay, well, I feel kind of bad because other people are hustling. Should I also be doing the same thing? And I think this is where the one of those moments in our lives where we get to choose, how do we want to live our lives? And for me, as far as I know, I don't need to feel bad about giving myself a break because I don't want to, work through every single holiday. That's not my purpose of life. One of my purposes of life is, yes, to impact students, to make a whatever difference in other people's lives, but at the same time to also enjoy the process of it and to have fun and be happy in my life also. So, yes, I love this idea of balance. And what I'll say as a 28-year-old Richard, that's how old I am right now. It's a cool little journey to go through and like discover little things along the way. I've always kind of wondered like, why is it that so many people are like so invested into relationships in a way? Like, so I've been single for the longest time, and I'm like, okay, I was like super focused on business stuff or impact and all this kind of stuff, and I'm like, why do people give so much attention to whatever their partners and stuff like that? And I'm like, I could see the appeal, but like, isn't there like a higher purpose to life? These are like the questions I ask myself. And the more I, whatever you want to say, mature, the more I get older and the more I live life, I realize there's a huge part of life that, there's something nice about just connecting with people. There's something nice about not just making it about this, I don't know how to say it, like this dream of just straight up impact. There's something huge about the relationships that we have with other people. And I'm sure you've all heard this before, which is like the idea of like, family is the most important thing, right? Like I always grew up hearing that from my parents. Family is the most important thing. And in my late teens slash, I want to say in my 20s, I was really confused about this concept. I'm like, wait, family is the most important thing, but I don't really feel like it's the most important thing. It's like I feel like our family is kind of disconnected and it's dysfunctional and stuff like that. So I don't understand, what does it mean that the family is the most important thing? So I don't know. It's like at the end of the day, we get to kind of determine what do we value. And maybe in one year of your life, you might value family very high, and then the next year, you realize, what? Maybe that's not my priority. Maybe my priority is something else. Maybe it's a romantic relationship, or maybe it's having fun, or maybe it's time to myself, or my work or school, whatever it is. So I believe priorities do change, and I believe that we get to be open to that possibility that priorities change and just go with the flow. So there we go. That's little thoughts. Alrighty. Yumi says, I've been using the semester break to continue my training, but I've been sleeping in later, so the best of both worlds, I guess. So what I'm gathering from you, Yumi, is that this break, when you say training, I'm guessing that's more school academic related, like you're kind of, or whatever, you're learning something. I think that was a little bit obvious, but yeah, I think that's cool. Yeah, I think, let's see. Yumi says, just wanting to fulfill my idiotic dream of becoming an actress or pop star. I'm still holding on to my childish dreams. I think that's wonderful. Honestly, like uh, everyone's gonna have their own opinion on this. Some people are gonna be like, oh, be real or whatever. Honestly, I feel like I just had this thought today, and I realized one thing that keeps me happy every single day is this idealistic idea of the impact that I want to make in the world. And I most definitely believe that there is my dreams can come true. It is a reality, and I'm literally living it right now by pursuing this path of becoming a inspirational speaker. Like this is my dream in a way. And same thing goes with you. Like if you have that path of becoming a actress or pop star, whatever it is, like I know a lot of friends who are on that path, and it's definitely not an easy path for sure, but it's definitely doable. And I think something that's really important, that, in my opinion, everyone can live their own life and perspective, but I believe if you have a dream, go for it, and don't be attached to the result. Don't be attached to this idea that you must become a pop star, or a famous actress. Sure, you have the goal. I'm not discouraging you. I'm not saying you should lower your expectation, but rather, I believe there's so much joy and happiness with just appreciating the journey of going and becoming that, the pursuit of becoming that famous actor, actress, or pop star, whatever it is. So enjoy the process. I think I do know the past few years for me, I would say we'll call it the past 3 years of my journey of becoming this, youth inspirational speaker and whatever YouTuber, all this kind of stuff. I had all these high expectations, like I want to become whatever the next Tony Robbins or whatever it is. That's not the case right now, but I remember I was like I had like these super ambitious goals, and I didn't feel content or happy until I reached a certain, whatever you want to say, status. And being able to take a step back now and just be like, hey, look, like whatever I'm doing in this moment right now is super cool. I'm not Tony Robbins yet. I'm not speaking in front of like 50,000 people at a time or whatever it is. But like now it's like I'm enjoying the little opportunities that I have to little but big opportunities I have to speak in front of students. Sometimes I speak in front of crowds like a classroom, and it's like 10 to 20 people, and sometimes I have the opportunity to speak in front of thousands of people. So yeah, it's enjoying the journey. I think that's a huge part of it. And for me, it's like I got to remind myself not to compare myself because I have this idea and this expectation that I want to, whatever you want to say, like speak in front of like large audiences and whatever, book all these paid speaking gigs, all that kind of stuff, and just to continue pursuing those goals and yeah, keep going. Let's see. Alrighty. Ventroid says, no, it's not. It's not idiotic. So Ventroid is responding to Yumi's message, and Ventroid said, no, it's not idiotic. You can be famous and wealthy if you do it right. Whereas, let's see. Hold on. Let's see. Did I see Jackson? I just saw a message from you. I briefly saw it. I didn't. Sorry, I didn't read it. Okay. Let's see here. I'm always daydreaming about myself being able to defend myself against a group of bad guys, and still do to this day. Okay. Yumi says, so it's not the destination that matters, it's the journey. Yes. That's I'm sure we've all heard that plenty of times. But yes, the more I think about this, I think that's really what it is. It's like it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. And I know that's super cheesy. Jackson, thanks for the messages. I'll read your messages in just a second. By just a second, I mean like almost now. Chrissy, hello to you. Thanks for hopping on. And let's see here. All right, so Jackson says, hey, I'm watching your videos live right now and love what you're talking about. I would love your advice on something. Oh, okay. I just want to make sure that we're going to talk about this. I would love your advice on something too if you have time. I graduated college in Vancouver recently, and I have a good job at a startup in Vancouver. I am grateful for that, but I feel like something is missing. I've always wanted to move to the Bay Area and try to succeed down there. Have any advice on what I should do in the new year? Ooh, Jackson. I love this. Nice. All right, so thank you for the question. I love this a lot. I could relate with it. And so, I wish I could share with you a story right now from someone else. It's a little bit on a personal side, and I do not have the permission to share this person's story, so I will not share it with you. But what I will tell you is I do know there's other people who have this certain goal, this passion that they want to pursue, and they've been afraid to make this jump, this leap. Like So Jackson, like what I'm sensing from you is like your heart is telling you that you really want to go to the Bay Area. And Jackson, knowing you, yes, I could, I feel like that's been a part of you for a while now. Um, so in 2018, how do I say this? Oh goodness, this is super exciting. It's scary, right? Like I'm guessing you've grown up in Vancouver for much of your life, or you've been in that area, and the Bay Area to you is new. You probably visited there a few times, and that's kind of where you want to be. What I will say is seriously, like my advice to you is to follow your heart. I know that sounds super cheesy, but like, how do I say this? I love one of my favorite quotes is it's by Anonymous, oftenly misquoted by was it Tom Sawyer? What's the Tom Sawyer freaking? I'm blanking out. Tom Sawyer. What's um, who writes that? Oh my goodness, Mark Twain. There we go, Mark Twain. I totally just blanked out for a second. So it's oftenly misquoted by Mark Twain. It's the quote that says, 20 years from now, we will, uh, 20 years from now, you'll regret the things that you didn't do versus the things that you did do. So I love this. I love this quote because it just reminds me that if there's something that I want to do, to just do it. And I know it can be scary. I know it's a new environment. It's a completely new change. But at the end of the day, it's like if you don't do what your heart wants to do, you're going to regret it. And how I see it is, what's the worst that can happen? Let's say you pursue your dream and you fail. You don't succeed at whatever it is that you want to do. I think the best part of it is that here's my thought for myself is, my big dream was to become a motivational speaker. Like that was my big dream 4 years ago. And again, like I'm just this regular guy, right? There's nothing special about me besides the fact that I actually made the decision to do it. And if you can't remember, it's been 3.5 years now, and like my journey as a motivational speaker is not perfect. It really is not. I'm not at a place where I'm like super financially supporting myself. I'm just getting by. That's where I'm at right now. However, it took me, whatever all the crap limiting beliefs that I have, it took me this past 3.5 years to finally, what I think in 2018, to make a decision that, what, in 2018, this is going to be the first year where I'm actually going to be quote unquote profitable. The first year where I'm going to push myself. I'm creating a plan, and I'm actually going to do it. To the point where on almost every single live stream, I'm telling you my goals because I don't want to give myself. I'm burning the boat in a way. I'm not giving myself an out. That's why every single stream, the reason I keep repeating the same thing, 30 goals, 30 paid speaking gigs by June 8th, 2018. The reason I keep repeating this over and over because it's helping to keep me accountable. And it's also helping me to visualize and believe that I can do it. So, Jackson, back to you. Let's see, what's my advice to you? I honestly listen to your heart. Like, take a moment, listen to your heart. What does your heart want you to do? And really just focus on that. Like, what does your heart want you to do? Listen to it. And ask it questions. Like, our heart knows what the answer is already, By the way, when I say listen to your heart, some people, I've had people ask me certain questions like, what does listening to your heart mean? Does that mean listening to your feelings? And my answer is no. Listening to your heart does not mean listening to your feelings. I didn't say go with your feelings. I didn't say go with your brain. I believe listening to your heart means it's, how do I say this? Your heart is like how do I say this? It's the part of you that has already made the decision. It's a part of you that ties in both the logic and the emotions together, and it's already made the decision. So you don't need to make a decision anymore. Like it's already been made. So what it does, again, it's if you listen to your heart, it's that piece of you that already, it's that gut feeling already made the decision based off all the information it knows, and it already knows how you feel about things. It knows the logical side of it. So the next part of it is to feel it and be like, okay, my gut says this, like, and just run with it. That's pretty much it. I think there's a practice in trusting our heart too. It takes time to build up the trust at the same time. So yes, Jackson, I don't want to tell you what to do, but my gut tells me that your gut is saying to just do it. Like 2018 is hopefully the year that you make the decision. Like, you know what? I I want to move to the Bay Area. I want to experience this life. And whenever your heart tells you is the right time, you'll know. And I just say jump and just go for it because you're going to regret if you don't do it, and you're going to be so happy that you did, regardless of the outcome. And again, this is one of those things that don't be attached to the results. If you go to the Bay Area and it doesn't work out as well, that's okay. Like enjoy the journey. It's about the journey, not the destination, right? So that's really what it is. All right, Martel Perkins says, awesome self-reflection is the key to accountability. Ooh, I like that. Self-reflection is huge. Self-awareness is absolutely huge. Is a key to accountability. Let's think about this one for a second. Self-reflection is a key to accountability. That's a deep one even for me. Like how do I say this? It's like, I think that's a good place to start. Jackson, you're welcome. Yeah, I appreciate. I see your message. The key. Okay, here I'm going to answer this one. I'm going to answer to see if I agree with you or disagree. So I believe the key to accountability, self accountability, is choice. That's what I have to say. The key to self accountability is choice. It's choosing whether or not you feel like it. You just choose to do it. I know that sounds like a very basic answer, but I think that's the answer, for me at least. So is self-reflection the key to accountability? Self-reflection. I believe self-reflection / self-awareness helps with accountability, but I believe the key to accountability is choice. Making the decision to keep yourself accountable. Like, I think that's purely it. I could be right, could be wrong. That's just my opinion in this moment. Alrighty. Let's see here. What do we got? Yumi says, my cheesiness is contagious. Ventroid says, gonna hop off the live stream for now. Keep up the good stuff, Richard, and see you next time. Everyone, let's see. All right, Ventroid, good to see you on, brother. I think it's already off. All right, cool. So we are pretty caught up with comments right now. By the way, feel free to keep adding comments. While we're doing this live stream, we're having, honestly, the best part of these live streams to me is the questions and comments. By the way, for anyone who is not familiar with how this live stream works, and if you're wondering, hey, how come I don't see these comments? It's because I'm on both YouTube and Facebook at the same time. I love you all, my YouTube friends and my Facebook friends. The reason I do this is obviously it's two different platforms, which means whatever you want to call it, double the reach. But at the same time, I love it because it keeps the conversation flowing and it allows more engaging questions and comments. So that's why I do it. I think it's a total win-win. Love you all. Sometimes I feel like it's like when I start doing it, I'm like, man, this is weird. I feel like I'm pretending to be in one. No, I'm both of you, all of you matter. All right, so while we're waiting for some questions or your mindset to process maybe some questions or comments or anything that you want to talk about. I'm going to go back straight to the topic of today, which is how to resume positive habits after the holidays. So again, most of us are in this holiday mode. We're kind of, we eat a lot, sleep a lot, relaxing, not as strict. Honestly, I believe some good practices to get back into the flow of, getting back to work when the time is ready for you, whether that's today, tomorrow, or a week from now, or a week and a half. I think the best practice is to allow ourselves to prep ahead of time. And let's say you got to work on January 2nd, and January 1st is New Year's. So give yourself that day to transition. I think that sounds really obvious to some of us, but it takes time. We're very sluggish going back. So what else do I have to say? I would say, honestly, I'm going to speak for myself right now. So in the past, my holiday break for me was the past 4 days. It was December 22nd till the 25th. So 22, 23, 24, 25. That's 4 days. 4 days like holiday break where I didn't do any work. I just chilled with family, with friends, and just enjoyed it. So what I realized is during the 4 days, I was not very good with all my daily habits. For example, I wasn't super consistent with doing meditation, affirmations, and visualizations in the morning. I did exercise every single day. Let's see, journaling, which is something that I said I would do every single day. During that break period, I didn't really do it. So, like, I think transition back, you got to get back in the flow. Like, give yourself a head start and do it earlier, and choose. It's choice. Talk about self accountability. It's choice. How do we get back in the flow? So, yeah, that's what I have. And today, the 26th, for me, I feel good that I am pushing myself to get back into the flow. I'm catching up with work or like things that I've missed over the past few days, and it feels good. Like, it feels good to eat healthy again, eat clean, and not overeat. So, just to give you a little bit of perspective, like these past 4 days was just like it was gluttonous. I was like nonstop eating. Oh goodness, like, so I don't eat anything. I try to stay away from things that are processed. But these past 4 days, like, goodness, I can't imagine too many people ate more than I did. Like, I ate so much food. It was ridiculous. Like, I had a steak that was like this big. It was huge, and like that was even the biggest meal that I had. That was just one meal. Um, what else? I had a ton of M&Ms and candy. Like, I mean, I don't when I'm eating healthy like I am today, I don't eat candy, like zero. But it's like I knew in my mind, I'm like, you know what? This is like one of the few times that I ever get to eat candy ever. So I gave myself permission to do that. Again, choose a system that works for you. For me, uh, for anyone who's curious about how I structure my diet and stuff like that, my primary diet is it's 6 days vegetarian, and then currently one day lean meats. So that could be fish or like chicken or something, like chicken breast, something like that. So that's my weekly schedule, and there is a little bit of a caveat for that, which is in I would say every single 3 months approximately, I give myself, I'm gonna say on average I give myself 3 cheat days per month. So because December has a bunch of parties, I've literally used 6 out of my 9 cheat days for this 3 month period. Yeah, I used 4 in the past 4 days, so I get to be very, 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 very present and very, very. I gotta save those cheat days for days that count, because sometimes I have friends who whatever cook food. They like, hey, let's go hang out and stuff like that. So it's find that right balance. So January, February is I gotta stay very focused and disciplined and eating healthy. Yeah. Alrighty, I see some questions. Chrissy Periwinkle, that's a cool name. What's a way to stop procrastination? Ooh, goodness. You every single time someone asks this question, I feel like I kind of forget. There's like so many cool tools to use to, quote unquote, stop procrastination. Let's see. I'll Chrissy, I'm gonna use my own personal experience. Again, I'm not a complete expert with this. I still struggle with procrastination, but when I'm on my game, what helps me, man, I feel like procrastination is a mindset. It's procrastination is such a mindset. Like when our mind feels weak, it's hard. It's hard to not procrastinate. But when it feels weak, it's easy to procrastinate. So, um, here's what I have to say. It's so hard to practice though. Like it's so hard to practice good techniques. But hold on, I want to show you a book real quick. Um, 1 second. All right. So, this book right here, Eat That Frog by Brian Tracy. As you can tell, this is not a long read. It's a very, very short read. And I will literally give you, hold on. I'm going to go to the very, very, like, it's such an easy read. I don't read books. Like, I don't like reading books. I do audiobooks, I watch videos, but reading is hard for me. So, I'm going to briefly go through all 21 steps. Again, I recommend reading through it because it's a good read. It's very nice. But for anyone who struggles with procrastination, which is most of us, here are some things that you could do to overcome procrastination. These are some tips. Again, I believe procrastination, a huge part of it is mindset. Okay. So let's see. Number one is set the table, which means decide exactly what you want. Clarity is essential. Write out your goals and objectives before you begin. Number two, plan every day in advance. Uh, I'm just going to read the one-liners because I don't want to keep you all here. Unless I could tell it needs some clarification. Number three, apply the 80-20 rule to everything. 20% of your activities will account for 80% of your results. Always concentrate your efforts on the top 20%. All right? Number four is consider the consequences. Your most important tasks and priorities are those that can have the most serious consequences, positive or negative, on your life or work. Focus on these above all else. Okay? Number five is practice creative procrastination. I love using this one. So, since you can't do everything, you must learn to deliberately put off those tasks that are low value so that you have enough time to do the few things that really count. Okay, that's not my thought. When I think about creative procrastination, my bad. Okay, that's different. Never mind. One thing I do is if I have a lot of work to do, I create like a to-do list of, I use Google Calendars. Instead of creating an event, there's another tab called tasks, and I create tasks. So it's like checking off to-do lists. And if I'm feeling really unmotivated one day, but I know everything needs to get done anyway, I have two choices. Number one is, by the way, it's called Eat That Frog because the frog is your big task that you want to accomplish that is worth the most value. So one thing he talks about, which I'll probably get to, is how do I say this? Eat the biggest, ugliest frog first. Meaning, do the most important, tough task first. Because if you accomplish that one task, everything else will be easy in your day. And I agree with this a lot. Again, procrastination is mindset. If we're not in the right mindset, it's hard. Like if we're not in the right mindset, sorry, I just blabbered. If we're not in the right mindset, it's very, very hard for us to not procrastinate. So, but honestly, this is one that took me forever to figure out or like actually do and commit to, which is eat the biggest, ugliest frog first. Like think about what's the one task that is going to make the biggest difference if you accomplish it today and just get that one done. It sucks. I hate it, but I believe, as I'm, processing in my own life, I believe once we create a habit of tackling the biggest, ugliest task first, in our day, again, everything else will be easy. But once we do that, we'll start creating this habit of tackling that biggest task first and just doing it. So, again, 28-year-old Richard, I've struggled a lot with procrastination. It's been hard. Like I don't know how to do this. There are some days I think this is not as great of a strategy, but if you have to, because you're just like, man, I really can't eat this biggest, ugliest frog first. Like it's way too stressful. It's like that burden. Sometimes what I do, this is kind of like when my mind is feeling weak, is I practice productive procrastination, which is, okay, I might not do that big, ugly task first, but instead I will, do some cleaning or organizing. I'll do something else that's productive that makes me feel good. Sometimes that works, but one thing I realize is I believe you want to be very, very careful how you use your energy throughout the day. Because what I've realized in my life is if I spend my first half of my day doing all those tiny little tasks, what happens is once I get into the afternoon or, later throughout the day, I don't have all that energy to complete that one big task. And then I end up pushing it off till the next day. And guess what? Same thing the next day. I'm like, oh man, I don't feel like doing it. And I push it off to the next day and I keep pushing it off. So I believe it's really important that we pay attention. And I believe after reading, not just reading this book, but after practicing it, eating the biggest, ugliest frog first, like I'm a huge advocate for that. Like do the hardest, most valuable thing first. That's so important. And let me give you a quick example, a personal example that literally happened today. So originally I wanted to schedule my 1 hour run. I decided to do a 1 hour run today at the gym on a treadmill. I wanted to do that first. I was like, you know what? I just want to get this out of the way, and that's it. That way I don't have to worry about it. But as I put my schedule together, as I started scheduling my day, what I realized was, wait, if I go to the gym right now, that's going to not only take 1 hour, plus another, we'll say another 15 minutes of commuting, plus I got to shower. So estimate that's probably going to take an hour 45 of the most important hours of my day, the beginning of my day. So I'm like, that doesn't make sense. Why would I waste two of the most precious hours for me going to the gym, exercising because I want to get rid of it, when the most important task for me really is to accomplish like rebranding. I knew that I got to rebrand my I'm working on rebranding my business and doing some marketing stuff. So I knew that today's focus was that. So what I did was I took my whatever I'm gonna call it 2 hours of exercising, showering, all commuting, and I pushed it towards the end of my day right before this live stream. And then I moved up the big ugly task, and I just moved that to the top. And it was uncomfortable, but I just did it anyway. And it felt so good. Like I was like, I actually did it. After I did, I'm like, oh my goodness, it wasn't even that big of a deal. Like once you do it, once you complete it, you're like, okay, that wasn't too bad. But when we have that resistance to procrastinating and like, oh man, I don't feel like doing that, that's what drains all our energy. So again, for anyone who's procrastinating out there, I would say the biggest thing is do that big ugly task first. So I hope that's helpful. Again, it's not. Sometimes it's really tough. Like sometimes mentally we're just like, man, I don't feel like doing it. All right, I'm not going to read all 21 because I don't want to bore everyone else who isn't so interested in the topic of procrastination. Again, you can pick up this book or just Google Eat That Frog 21 book summary, and so you can see them. But I want to I'll read a few things that I really like here. Prepare thoroughly before you begin. So I think that's really big. One thing that my friend taught me to do is the day before, plan everything out that you're going to do the next day. So you just do. That's it. So you're all set up to go. I'm going to be very honest with this. I am not perfect with my procrastination, and I am typically a little bit lazy to plan my next day. So what I do is the day before, or sometimes, hold on. Ah, man, I wish I could show you this. So what I do, again, I use Google Calendars, okay? This is how I organize my life, and again, I've been playing around with this for a while to figure out like what's the easiest, best way to figure this out, and for me, this is what works for me. So what I do is I will schedule mentally anytime like, ooh, I need to, for example, tomorrow I need to clean up my garage, and I also need to break down finances, like how much money do I need to be making to support my lifestyle, to save, for savings, whatever, house, blah, blah, blah. So even before, like 5 days ago, I planned, on the 27th, I'm going to focus on this. So I do little to-do items, and I schedule it on that certain day. So I know, that I get to do that, and it takes it off my mind. I don't need to remember, oh, what do I need to do today or tomorrow. I don't need to think about it because I already just slap it on there and set it and forget it. So that's what I did. What else do I have here? Let's see. Okay, so usually I'm a little bit lazy to plan out my full day the next day, which I get to work on. But what I do is I schedule every single to-do item, not in order. I don't schedule it, but I write down all the little checklist items on the next day. So that way, when I wake up in the morning, all I need to do is look at my 7 items, or maybe it's 3, and rank them in order of most important to least important, and just schedule it into my day. Because if I don't, for me, this is how I work. If I don't schedule something, I tend to take too much time. I tend to, take my time. Ooh, cleaning the garage. Ooh, that that could take. I don't know how much. I'll just spend maybe 4 hours doing that when I only need to take 1 hour. So, Parkinson's law. For any of you who know what that is, Parkinson's law. Thank you, Christine, for reminding me what it is. Parkinson's law is however much time you give for a certain task is however much time it'll take. So let's talk about cleaning a garage. So if your task is to clean a garage, and you give yourself 10 hours, it's going to take you 10 hours. But if you give yourself 1 hour, guess what? It'll only take 1 hour because mentally you're going to complete it based off however much time you give it yourself. Of course, there's some realisticness and stuff like that, but that's the general idea. Okay, so I think that's a pretty good conversation around procrastination. I hope that was helpful, Chrissy, and I'm going to leave procrastination at that. If people have other questions, I see a lot of comments going back and forth. So I'll answer any relevant question, but I will move on just so we're not just talking about procrastination, because I know there's a lot of other questions going on. All right, Len, good to see you on again. Let's see, same here. It's been a little tough, but worth it. All right, back to Yumi. How should I find out a list of New Year's resolutions? I have a ton, so how should I narrow it down to a little? Okay, Yumi, I'm going to read all your comments and then I'm going to answer your question, your awesome question. Okay. Yumi says M&Ms are life, but due to training, I must diet my life. OMG. Oh my goodness. So I had way too many M&Ms. Christine, good to see you on. I had way too many M&Ms these past 2 days. And then I looked at the nutrition facts. I'm like, oh my goodness, M&Ms are not good for you at all. Like, obviously they're not good for you, but they're really not good for you. Like, they have so much like saturated fat, processed like sugars. I think like sugar is the number one ingredient. It's ridiculous. Okay. I would say to stop procrastination, I imagine the results. Like, if I'm trying to practice my dramaness, I just imagine the results if I'm feeling lazy. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's so Yumi. What I'm hearing you say is essentially, if you're feeling lazy and you don't want to do something, you visualize the results. Visualizations are huge. There's a study. I can't remember the exact details or how real this is, but I do believe this is a real study. Anyone could, quote me or debunk me, whatever it is. But I remember hearing that there was a study of how they had a study, and it was people shooting 3-pointers or something like 3-point, basketball. And they had like one group actually shoot 3-pointers. Like, they got to practice for however many hours. And then they had another group where they didn't physically practice, but they mentally practice and imagine themselves making these baskets just in their heads. That's it. And I believe the study, again, don't quote me if this is right or wrong, I believe the study showed that the people who visualized, as opposed to actually physically doing it, did slightly better than the people who actually practiced. So the point is, again, I don't know how true this is. I believe it's a true thing, but I believe visualizations are super powerful. So sometimes it's more powerful than actually doing it. I'm going to give you one real life example. I went snowboarding with friends a few years ago, and there was like this little, this little jump, like off a ramp, and never in my life have I ever landed a jump. Like, every single time I would, jump, I would freak out, and I would like curl up into like a defensive position and hit my butt on the ground, and it hurt a lot. And my friend's like, "Yo, Richard, all right, here's what you need to do. All right, before you try that jump again, I want you to visualize yourself landing the jump. Like visualize the whole entire process from, when you're going down on the ramp and when you jump up in the air, imagine yourself landing. Like, just play it all out in your head." And I did it. I'm like, oh, this is kind of silly, whatever. And I played it out in my head. Like, I imagined myself landing it. And guess what? I went on the run. And again, I was super nervous because I knew that if I don't land correctly, I could hurt myself a lot. Because, the snow wasn't amazingly soft. So I was just really afraid. And the thing is, if you're afraid, your body tenses up and you're more likely to fail the landing the jump. But I visualized it ahead of time, so I'm like, okay, I could do it. Let's just freaking do it. So I went up, and then guess what? Like, when I was in midair, I freaked out a little bit. I was like, oh my goodness, what do I do? But I ended up landing it perfectly. And I succeeded in landing a jump. So that was all because of visualization. Like, it's like that visualization helps a lot into helping us to achieve the goal that we want to do. So again, I do visualizations pretty much every single morning, at least 5 times a week. I do visualizations to just visualize, my goals and what I want in my life and stuff like that. So I'm not perfect at it, but it's what I do. Alrighty. Okay, Yumi, sorry I did not mean to ignore your question. Sorry, I almost kind of did, but we're gonna answer it right now. So, how do I find a list of New York resolutions? I have a ton. So, how do I narrow it down to a little? Um, here's okay. Let's go through question. So, let's say you have a ton of resolutions. How do you break it down into like the ones that matter to you? Um, I This is kind of one thing that I do. Number one, first of all, this is I shouldn't say this, but I'm not a big fan of New Year's resolutions. I think they're great, and I don't want to knock it down. I think New Year's resolutions are a great place to start and start over. The one thing that I just wanted people to be mindful of is we shouldn't need a new year to start a new habit. It's I believe that a new habit should start now. It should start whenever. But Yumi, I'm definitely not knocking down New Year's resolutions. As long as they're positive, that's great. So what I would recommend to answer your question, like if you have so many resolutions that you don't know what to focus on, I would focus on, again, this is what I talk about a lot, but have one quote unquote resolution or goal in each area of your life, and set a time frame too. So make sure you set SMART goals, right? Let me see if I remember this. Oh shoot, was it? I don't. How do I not remember what SMART goal stands for? M starts for measurable, A is attainable, R is realistic, T is time bound. What's the S? Uh, yeah. Anyways, Google SMART goals, and so set things that are S, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time bound. So have a time frame. When are you going to accomplish these goals? I recommend doing 6 different areas. One goal for each, at least one or two goals for each area of your life. One is good enough. Health, relationships, finances, and if you're in school, then I recommend. Well, you're doing acting stuff, so finances might help. Um, if not finances, then academics. Let's see what else is there. Leisure, so it's taking time to yourself. Community, what impact do you want to make in the community, and the last one is spiritual. Spiritual could you can make it whatever you want. It doesn't have to be religious or whatever. I'm not religious. Spiritual could be it could be something with giving yourself time to reflect and stuff like that. That could be spiritual. So those are the 6 areas. I'll repeat them one more time. Again, you don't need to be attached to these 6. You could create your own, but if you want to, you can write these down. One is health. So that's fitness, nutrition, all that kind of stuff, and you can make it up. Relationships, leisure, finances, community, and spiritual. So those are the 6 that I tend to do, and I would just pick one per category. That way your life is balanced. All right, that's what I got. Alrighty. Kevin Entrada says, "What are your New Year's resolutions for 2018, Richard?" So, again, I did not set 2018 New Year's resolutions because I'm currently already doing my own what I call a LOD, which stands for Letter of Declaration, which is essentially essentially resolutions, but I started them in November already. So I'll fill you in what my goals are. I just listed 6 different categories. So my deadline that I set, because I'm working with this, the girl I'm dating, Christine, and so we set goals in the 6 different areas. So let's see, for health, my health goal, the tangible result is to lose 20 pounds in about 2.5 months. I started at 180, and we're 4 weeks in, I think, and 4 or 5 weeks in, and I'm already halfway there. I'm like down to almost 170. So doing pretty good there. And again, on top of the weight goal, it's not just losing weight. That's just like a visual that keeps me accountable. The main purpose of the whole weight thing is to remember to eat healthy. So that's going vegetarian, letting go of processed foods, not eating anything deep fried, vegetarian 6 days, lean meats 1 day, and on top of that, exercising 7 days a week. So that's kind of those are my goals. And then I have my unofficial goal because I realized another thing that's really important is sleep. So my unofficial goal, I don't, how do I say this? This is like self accountability. I don't force myself to have, 6 hours of sleep every single night because I acknowledge some days I get busy. But my goal every single day is to sleep at least 6 hours. I try to aim for 6.5. That's my goal. And so far, it's pretty good. There's some days that, it doesn't work out, but that's okay. So that's my health goal. Relationship goals is pretty much to increase my communication and hanging out with my brother, my mom, and some of my very close friends. So those are just the people that I've deemed like the most important in my life, and I just choose to do that. On top of that, I also have a thing where I write 3 thank you letters every single week, like how heartfelt, meaningful thank you letters, just to show appreciation to people who have done things in my life, and that I almost like forget. Not that I forgot to say thank you, but that I get to say thank you even more to them. So that's another thing. So that's relationships. Let's see, finances. My goal. What I'll say about this one is my goal is to book 30. This one is 10 paid speaking gigs by February 25th. So, and of course, February 25th, part of this goal is so the first in 3 months, I want to book 10. And then the next 3 months, I get to book 20. And, it's because I need to kind of warm up to it. But, of course, I want to book more than 10 by February 25th, which is the halfway point. That's finances. Let's see, my leisure goals. Honestly, we're getting personal here. My leisure goals, I've already determined for myself, I don't really need any kind of personal vacation or anything like that. Like, I'm already content with the way I am. But one thing I do want to do is I want to create more opportunities to spend with the girl I'm dating. So with that being said, my leisure is to plan a little bit of a trip. So that's what I'm doing, which is super awesome, and I'm super super excited about it. So that's leisure. Community. My community goal is to really create a system. The challenge. So the monthly challenge I'm creating, like I really want to make something that's sustainable, that's engaging, fun. So over the past few weeks, I've been brainstorming what is a challenge I can create that will make a difference in people's lives, that will help people like you learn how to break bad habits and create new habits and change the way you think about your life. So let's say you're struggling with procrastination. Let's say you're struggling with having, just low self-esteem. You're not confident. Maybe you're shy, or there's other areas. Trust me, like I put a lot of thought into this. I've gathered all my life experiences. And by the way, if you're interested, let me know. January 1st, I'm launching a monthly challenge. It's completely free. And the purpose is I want to create a sustainable system and that will help you break through these limiting beliefs that you have, to help you break these bad habits and start creating positive ones. So the purpose of this is really, how do you start living life in alignment with who you are, and how do you just be happy? And I'm going to challenge you to, exercise a little bit more. I'm going to challenge you to start eating a little bit healthier. I'm going to challenge you to, be more grateful, to stretch yourself. And there's going to be things that are tough. There's going to be things that are fun. And like, you're like, oh shoot, I never thought about that. So my goal is to have fun. And my goal is to create this system that it's engaging to the point where you're like, shoot, I want to do this every single month. Let's just do it. Like, I feel so good doing this. So again, if you are interested, anyone who's on right now, just, let me know in the comments, or better yet, just shoot me a quick message and say, hey, look, I'm interested in participating. What I'll say is the month of January is the beta month, which is January 1st to the 31st. Like literally, this will be the 1 month that I'm going to ask everyone who participates for feedback. I'm like, hey, can you help me out? Like, what are parts of this that you really enjoyed? And what are parts of it that you're like, I didn't really like this part? And again, like, you're anyone who's participating in this, you are going to play such a big role into creating the long-term structure of this. So your feedback is super, super important. Like, seriously. So if that sounds interesting to you, if you want to do a free monthly challenge, it's completely free. and this might be an opportunity for you and me to better our lives. Break bad habits and create positive habits for ourselves. So again, if you're interested, just let me know, and let's do it. Let's have fun with it. Um, so that's my community. My last one is spiritual. By the way, if you're just hopping on, someone asked me what are my New Year's resolutions, and I'm giving you my letter of declaration, like what I've committed to doing. I started this. Oh, sorry, I started this beginning of December, and it ends February 25th. So, my last one, spiritual, is I want to create a almost like a daily practice where I journal every single day. I write what I'm grateful for every single day, and that's usually what I do at night. And in the morning, I meditate very quickly, like 5 minutes, just like center myself, get present. I do affirmations, things to affirm, who I am and pretty much how great of a person I am, because I don't believe it a lot of times. So, um, and then the third one is visualization, visualizing, what my future looks like, stuff like that. So those are the quote unquote resolutions that I have for 2018. Okay. Hopefully that answered your question. Sorry, I know that's a really long answer. Okay. Let's see. Len says, I wanted to step in for a moment, but have to head out now. Have a peaceful evening, everyone. Len, thank you so much. I'm pretty sure you already signed off. Oh, wait, are you signed off? Yeah, you probably are. But thank you. Appreciate it. All right. Success roller coaster. Please remind me who you are. That's funny that you asked. Am I going to 10x GrowthCon? I'm not going to 10x GrowthCon. That was a possibility, but there's too many things going on, and yeah, I had an opportunity to get tickets to it, and I chose to not go. That's Grant Cardone's event in Vegas. Alrighty, so Yumi says my Wi-Fi just died and resurrected. The chat was too silent. I love that emoji. That's really cute. Okay, cool. So look, we just hit past the 1 hour mark, which is kind of the goal of these streams. I want to keep it to about an hour. But if people have questions, again, I'm happy to answer them, and I'll keep going on and on and on. But given that it is perfectly, just past an hour, I think this is a great time to kind of wind down. And again, if you have questions, feel free to chime in. Tyrone Jones, good to see you on. Hello to you. So let's see. I love wrapping up with the original topic, which is how to resume positive habits after the holidays. Again, simply, I would say give yourself time to adjust back. And, I feel like, honestly, this is just like one of those topics that are kind of, I didn't know what to talk about. Not that I didn't know what to talk about, but I just wanted a conversation starter. So, give yourself to ease back into those positive habits, and don't beat yourself up if it takes a while, but give yourself some time, because it does take a little bit of a flow. The longer you're on break, the harder it is to get back into that normal flow. So I'm pretty sure whether you're a student or you are working or whatever you're doing, that when you start that day one, you want to just hit the ground running. You want to be ready for it, and the best way to be ready is to prepare ahead of time. Don't wait till the last minute. That's what I have to say. I know that's super obvious, but sometimes we just need that reminder. The other last thing I want to mention, again, just recap, is a lot of this, if you're just hopping on, a lot of this, I would say at least 10, 15 minutes we spent talking about how do we stop procrastination. I'm going to give a quick little highlight. If you want to learn how to stop procrastination, this is an awesome book, Eat That Frog by Brian Tracy. And let's see, super short read. Again, I'm not much of a reader, and I still recommend this book. The biggest takeaway for me, it took me 3 years to actually do this, but I'm finally kind of starting to do it, which is the number one takeaway for me is eat the biggest, ugliest frog first, which means complete the hardest, most difficult, but most impactful task that you have to do the first thing in your morning before you lose all your energy. Because once you do that one big task, it's going to set you up, and everything else will just be easy for you for the rest of your day, and everything will be seamless. Again, it takes practice, it takes discipline, but once you get this down, it's magic. It's like everything just is so easy, and it becomes a habit. So I'm still working on that myself, but that's what I got. All right. I saw one more question. Oh, Richard De La Fuente, good to see you on. Hello and good night. Yeah. Onathox, let's see. Good to see you on as well. We are just hopping off right now. All right, everyone. So thank you so much for hopping on. That concludes our live stream for tonight. We will be back on tomorrow, as always. Let's see, at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Alrighty, for any of my friends on YouTube, I will create a little event reminder thing right after the stream. And for anyone on Facebook, just remember it's 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Okay. Thank you so much for hanging out. And let's see. Last questions. What will you be talking about tomorrow? Honestly, I don't know what I'll be talking about tomorrow. I normally just think about topics off the top of my head, like what resonates with me in that moment. So I'll keep you posted. And if you want us to talk about a certain topic, just shoot me an email, Richard De La Fuente, and we'll go from there. Okay. See you tomorrow, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, which is LA time. And have a wonderful holiday season. And yeah, see you tomorrow. Take care. Lots of love. Mwah. Bye.